Hi, this is Mahesh Ravi, and in this video, I'll try and explain everything that you need to know before grading a raw video file using Davinci Resolve. So, the first thing that you need to understand are the formats that you will be able to shoot raw videos. So, if you are a person who actually likes to shoot in compressed containers like MOV, you can still do a lot of color correction, but you will not be able to tap the potential of a raw file, which basically has a lot of color information that you will be able to use while you are editing or defining the look of your film. So it's always recommended that if you want to actually get a particular look in your film, it's good to shoot in a raw format. Currently, iPhone 15 Pro is also offering you to shoot videos in a raw format. So one thing that you need to understand about raw formats is that instead of one movie file, the video will be converted or will be captured in as individual frames, and these individual frames will be provided to you as raw images. So you will be compiling them together and working on them to get the full potential, just like a raw file that you are opening in Photoshop and versus a JPEG. So let's go to Davinci Resolve and talk about this a little more. So I'm going to open Davinci Resolve. This is free, so you can download it from the Blackmagic website. They have a studio as well, but this is the free version, 18.6. So here we are in Davinci Resolve right now. You'll be able to see the interface here, and there is an untitled new project which is ready for you. You can double click this and the interface will open up like this. Just to give you a fair understanding of how the interface works, you can see that you are currently in an interface which says cut. But if you go to the first one, this is a media pool. So you can see these tabs, and this actually changes your system based on the task that you want to do. So this is where you basically, or this is the media pool where you arrange all the media. This is where you import all the media that you want to work with. This is where you sort of trim those files. You cut them, you trim them, all those stuff. This is where the third one is the timeline, where you will be editing. If you want to edit your film, you can actually do it in here. Then there is the color tab, which is the most important stuff. So when you are going to the color tab, this is where you will be color correcting your footage. You have something called Fairlight, where you will be able to work with sounds and music. And finally, you will have the export system, where once you have made your video, how would you export this out of the system? So let's first go to the media pool and let's take, let's import a clip into this. I can just drag and drop the media that I want to this. So this is a raw file. This is a Blackmagic raw file. So when you drag, this is a compilation of different DNG, cinema DNG format files. So when you drag and drop that folder in here, it will be compiled into a video, and you can just scrub through it and it will play. This is an untouched raw file from a Blackmagic film camera. So we have this right now, and it says that we still don't have any clips because we haven't added this to the media pool. All you have to do is just drag and drop it to the media pool. Now it is going to ask you to change the frame rate. So when you click change, the project will be changed in accordance with the clip that you are importing. So I'm going to click change. Now the project and the raw file will have the same frame rate. Now once you have done this, I'm going to skip a few steps in here. What we are going to do now is that we are not going to trim this. We are not going to do anything with that at this moment. We will go to the timeline and we'll just take this clip and drag and drop it into the timeline. So we can see that this is the clip and this is the sound of that particular clip. This actually might actually look to you like any other NLE editor, non-linear editor, like Final Cut Pro or Premiere Pro. If you want to do your edits, you can do it here. But the major use in here is to color correct or color grade this. I'm going to just jump to the color grade tab, and now that you can see your clip which is right here, and the monitor shows the preview of that. You can click play to play the video, and you have a couple of options in here. You have different tools in here, and you can also see a node playground, which is right here. So, and you can see a basic playground here. This is how it works. So this is the input and this is the output. So in between the whole thing, we have one footage which is lying there. That's the only thing that we have done. So one thing that you need to understand is that Davinci Resolve color grading works on a node system. Between the source and the output, you are going to build several nodes, and we are going to add several effects to it. So what I want to show here is that how to get started with this. This is not a color grading tutorial. This is how do you get started with the whole grading setup. So once you've done this, the first thing that you need to do is that you might have to, in the nodes itself, this is coming from a camera, and Davinci Resolve currently doesn't understand what camera it is coming from. And the color space is not set according to that. So we might have to transform this color space to, or assign a color space to this particular footage. So to do this, we are going to add one node. So to add a node, you right click on this footage and go to add node and click add serial node. So what it does is that it adds serially, so one after another. You are going to add one more node to this. So I have this node right here. You can move it and you can keep it anywhere that you want. Now to this particular node, I'm going to add an effect. This is where you convert your color space. That's the first step that you need to do. Go to effects and you go down. You can click effects right here, and there is something called color space transform. Just drag and drop it to this second node, and you did this, but nothing happened here because you haven't changed the color space yet. So there are two very important things that you need to change here. One is the input color space, and one is the input gamma. Then there is the output color space and output gamma. So what you need to do here in the input color space is that you need to change this to whatever camera it actually came from. So this was actually shot in Blackmagic Pocket 4K Film Gen. You can choose this. So if you don't know the camera it came from, you can actually choose, or if your camera is not listed here, you can choose something which is remotely close to that quality. So I'm going to choose Blackmagic Film Gen 4, and the input gamma, which is the light value, I'm going to change this to Blackmagic Design Film. So this is coming from a Blackmagic film camera, and it did that, and you can immediately notice a significant change in the space here. But we are not done yet. We have already given the input. We have to set up the output also. So output basically depends on what kind of look that you want to create. So there are so many cameras and looks which are defined in here. So what I want to do is that I want to create it an array Alexa look. So for the first thing, I'm going to choose the output color space to be array wide gamut. And the output gamma also, I'm going to choose array log 3. So now you can see that it actually became like the original footage with no corrections applied to it. It's a very flat footage, but right now whatever correction that you're going to do, it is going to give you, you made this project sort of set for array look, to build the array look. So once you have done this, close the effects and you have this. I'm going to drag this all the way to the end, right? So whatever I'm going to affect in here, or whatever notes that I'm going to add to this, it should actually go through this, and then finally it should come to our color space. So you can quickly name this also. So right click this and I write on node label, I can just write CST, color space transform, and I've done this. This is the original, so you can do that. This is the original. When you have multiple nodes, it will be easier for you to understand what you have done to this. Now once you have done this, now let's add another node. So I'm going to go to the original tab. I'm going to right click this. I'm going to add a node and click on add serial node. I created this. Now for this node, let's label this. I'm going to call it LUT. So you might have already heard about LUTs, right? LUT is, or a lookup table, is something where you can actually apply a film look or a pre-made look to your footage. This is not the final look that you're going to create, but you will always have a starting point with your footage. So what I want to do is that we already decided that I want the Arri Alexa look. So I'm going to open a load a LUT into this node. So right click this and you will see a folder or a section called LUT, and you can go through this and you will see again the same LUTs that you see. You have film looks in here, you have film emulations which are actually here, so you can select any camera and it will emulate the look of that camera. But what we want is Arri, so I'm going to go to Arri and I'm going to select Arri Alexa Log C to Rec 709. Just click on that. All these things that I am selecting is already pre-built with it, so it is already there in that, so it will already definitely be there, right? So in your software also it is going to be there by default. So I've added this and you can quickly see that there is a change in the color values and it looks more cinematic than the original look. To hide something or to make this visibility turned off, you can just press Command D, right, and it'll go. If you press it once again, it will come back, right? So Command D will sort of disable it, and Command D once again, it will enable it, and you will see that there is a cinematic color grading happening here. So once you have this, right, so you have this is not done yet, you have a lot more things to do. You can add more nodes to it. So I can add a new node and I can call it the color correction or color grading, whatever you want to do with it. So I have this right now. Now this is where you will do all or use all these tools to do your color correction. You can keep creating multiple layers of it, but these, whatever we did, the three things that we did initially is the first setup that you have to do. Now I have the color correction and I can come to all these tabs and create this. Now the first one is camera raw tab. So when you come to this, if you have a raw file, you will have access to all of this. Just like any other raw file we are opening up in Photoshop, you will have access to all these raw controls. You can do a lot of corrections and saturation control and everything in here. But if you're using a compressed MOV file or an MP4 file to color grade, this will be disabled and you might actually look like this, right? Everything is grayed out and you will not have access to any of these settings, which is fine. You don't have to use this, it's just an option. We can go to the other color grading options here. So let me just go to curves in here. So now we are in curves. It works the same way like every curve editor works in any image editing tool. So you can come here, you can change the global color value right here. So let me just create a quick contrast. So I'm just going to create an S curve right here. So I created a quick contrast in here. So added more black to this, so we can see that here, that change. If you don't want to see that, Control D, I will disable it. Control D will bring back this again. So that is one thing that you can do. Curves is one adjustment. You can also go individually to this. So I just want to work on the blue. I'll just get control over the blue and I'm just going to change the blue value a little up so I can get a little blue tint over the dark shades here. I have done that. So that's how it works. So that's one option. Curves is one option here. You have color match option. You have your color wheels where you can control your gamma and your gains. So I can change that here. You have an HDR control where you will be able to control the global exposure, the light. So I'm just going to make the darkness a little more exposure to the darkness. I'm just going to bring that. So I just made it a little more exposed in the dark parts. You can control that as well. You can also match it to the color space. So when you're coming to a high dynamic range, you can just go to color space and make sure that you're matching that to whatever we actually gave it. So Arri white gamut, and your gamma is basically Arri log C. So you've matched it. So whatever corrections that you do right now will be perfect for your color space that you have set. There are other options in coloring that you can do here, but one interesting thing that I wanted to show you here is the tracker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new node. So create a new serial node, and in this node I'm going to go to a mask, right? So click on this and I can draw an elliptical mask on this person's face. Now if you add anything to this, it will only be affected in that area so you can just highlight that. Now another option that you can do, just like the mask, what you have to do is you have a tracker option. So once you have this, you can click to track the face here. So just click the play or track forward. It's going to create the points and it's going to track the face. So the face is tracked right now. So wherever you basically, wherever the face moves, whatever color correction that you have applied to that will be tracked onto the face and you will get that effect right in there. Now, once you have done this, once you are happy with your corrections, all these nodes are ready and all that, you can just go to your, so you can quickly see this once again. So I'm just going to disable everything. This was the original footage. The first thing that we added was we transformed it to an array space, and then we added a LUT, and then we did some color corrections, and we just masked the face of this. So this is what we did. As I told you, this is not a color correction tutorial. This is just to give you an idea of how do you work with uncompressed cinema DNG files, or your initial setup for a color grading process. You can keep building this. And then once you're done with your clips, you can just go to deliver and you can choose your formats, export it, and it will be saved into your system. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you with another video soon. Thank you.